courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
It's time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Rollins.
Welcome to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here, and we are brought to you by the red, white, and blue. Today's guests are here. You hear about them every week over and over on the primetime news here and all the other shows, HMR Veterans Services. So the Vice President of HMR is here, along with the Alabama Operations Vice President, Scott Hurst, and Heyward Hillard. Stay where you are. You're going to need a pen today. Get it. Be right back. Welcome back into Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here, and appreciate you tuning in this week. Today's guests have been trying to get them back up here for a while. We want to talk about some things near and dear to the veterans that use the veterans' homes. HMR Veterans Services. We got the HMR Vice President, Heyward Hillard, is here, and Scott Hurst from the Alabama Operations. And welcome to the show, guys. Scott?
Ken, good to be back with you.
Heyward, good to see you. Normally I do a fist bump. We got that done. But appreciate you coming. You're from South Carolina, and you came from up in Mobile.
I did.
I don't know if you broke a record one time for driving the furthest. I thought Admiral Marsh did, but it doesn't matter. You appreciate y'all coming this far to do the show.
Thank you.
And on behalf of WEAC TV 24, we appreciate you folks doing the advertising here. Let me ask you something, Scott. The new home in Pell City, the Robert L. Howard, Colonel Robert L. Howard Veterans Home, is it pretty well full now, or where are we on that?
We're approximately 90% occupied now. We're working diligently to get these veterans who are waiting on a bed into
that
the
word.
last. That's right. We're working hard for those men and women. We're projected to be full probably in the next few months. So it's coming along just right.
The other thing is, are they still hiring down there?
We are. We're always
Okay.
looking for good talent in the area. We want to improve the services that we provide, and doing that always means looking for good folks to work there.
Could we tell them here, the sponsor, the spots that we run here, tells you to go to the career button and see what's available. But my question is a little off. Would someone be able to go on that same site and find what's available at the other homes?
Absolutely. All of
Okay.
our veterans' homes are listed on our website.
Because people in Alabama, somebody may know somebody near Alexander City
true.
or Mobile or Huntsville or whatever.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. They can do
That's
that.
great. Heyward, you are the Vice President of one of the finest healthcare companies in the world, Health Management Resources. How long have you been there, by the way?
Coming up on my 13th year.
13 years.
I began as the administrator of the State Veterans Home in Anderson, South Carolina, back in 2002.
Yeah.
And coming up on my 13th year with the company.
One thing about y'all being from South Carolina, I noticed when Clemson is playing Auburn, you're rooting for the Tigers. Somebody's rooting for Tigers.
The Tigers will win.
But see, what happened is, being politically correct, people like Scott or somebody that's down here that likes Clemson say, I'm rooting for the Tigers, and you got to figure out which one they're rooting for.
That's right. That's right.
That's great. Anyhow, this is HMR. I want to make sure everybody understands that this is a Alabama company. HMR is you've got places in South Carolina. You've also got homes where? Maryland?
Maryland, Alabama, and South Carolina.
Great. And how many homes do you have?
We have 7 facilities serving almost 1,600 veterans daily.
All right. I don't throw curves, so I'm not going to even put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask you, you've been in the healthcare business other than for veterans. Have you ever worked, or have you always worked with veterans?
For the last 12, 13 years with the veterans, 10 years prior to that, I worked with the private sector with another company, long-term care.
That's good, because that's going to lead me to my question. How is it working with the veterans population versus the private?
There's a big difference, and I think one of the differences is really the environment. You feel good about what you're doing no matter what facility you're in. But working with the veterans the better part of the last decade, the stories that you have access to, the way you feel at the end of the day when you go home and feel good about what you've done, the opportunity to meet with families and be a part of their lives really as they share their stories and go through a lot of different things as well. I think it's just very rewarding, probably more rewarding to work with the veterans in my personal experience.
We're sitting out in the green room, as we call it. One of the things that I can sit in a veterans home, any of the the one y'all have got, or we've got in the state. And you see the same thing. You see the veterans are so proud. Some of them wear their red, white, and blue ties. They still wear their colors, if you will. They're very proud of their country. They're very proud of their service. And unless it's in a memory place, they really sharp about. They got memories that go back to when they were in Pearl Harbor. They remember the temperature of that day and all that. They just so sharp on that. And I can sit there and look at history. Some of the guests that's been on this show have ex-prisoners of war and Pearl Harbor people, and I'm just amazed. I sit there and look at the lines, and I can see what other people have to read about in books. And we can see for real.
Exactly, because you're not going to find it in a book. I've got a teenage son who has the opportunity to come to work with me many days and sit down and talk with the veterans, and to hear the personal approach is different than what they would read in the school books.
That's weird you said that, because on the way to Gulf Shores one time, my daughter went when we stopped in the William F. Green home, and while I was in there in a meeting, she was sitting out there in a rocking chair talking to a fellow called Cherokee. And Cherokee had a tattoo, and she was asking him about the tattoo, and he said, I don't know, I got drunk one time, just woke up with a tattoo on her. And so she hated, she was so looking forward to go, so she hated to leave there because her friend Cherokee. But we was a week or so later, I asked that Mr. Cherokee had passed on to that land up there, and it's so easy to get attached to people, but she was just drawn to Cherokee with the stories he'd tell her. Now these stories might be like Uncle Si on that makes them up, but you got to figure out which one is true or not.
That's right. A few of them are.
Have you ever heard some of his tales on Duck Dynasty?
Absolutely.
When he started telling the one that time about it was 4 foot of snow in Vietnam.
Right.
I got news for you. That's a lie. But there's in the other homes, there's 150 in the Alexander home, Bay Minette.
In our 3 other facilities, we have William F. Green in Bay Minette. It's 150 beds. Bill Nichols State Veterans Home in Alexander City, and then Floyd Tutt Fan in Huntsville, and all are 150 beds each.
Yeah. But there's the one thing that I didn't tell you when we were out there talking to Hall Heyward is when I was talking to the gentleman down there at the Colonel Robert L. Howard home, he was telling me about how well he was treated and how he wanted to stay there. But he pointed out something to me. He says, look at that. And there was 3 of your people coming down the hallway and smiling, but they had work in their hand, paperwork, and then we looked down the hall of what do you call it, Hall of Fame down there, or whatever the big hall.
It goes to Town Center, yes, sir.
And here comes 4 of them. But they were 2 here and 2 here, and they were the same thing. He said, how could you not be happy being in a facility? And then he caught himself. He said, being in a home with people like that. And I thought, boy, if HMR could just hear that statement, because that just kind of sealed it. He's like, your people act like they really appreciate working there.
And that's our goal in every facility, is to try to make it feel like a home.
Yeah.
I think when you hear words like that, that just shows us that we've at least got our nose pointed in the right direction.
Yeah. But we got to go to break. When we come back, I want to talk more about, I want to take up there and talk why would somebody in the nursing profession rather work for HMR as to do where they're working right now. So we got to go to a pause. We always have to do that. This is where the pen comes in. So keep it handy today. We'll be right back right after this. More with Heyward and Scott. Stay there. Welcome back. Ken Rollins here. We're talking with Heyward Hillard and Scott Hurst from HMR, and that's Health Management Resources, and they're over the Veterans Home for the state of Alabama. Heyward, when I went to break, and I'm not ignoring you, Scott, but you're local, and we can get you where we can to Big Dive.
Yes, sir.
You're in a healthcare profession out here, working at a nursing home. We don't use that, we call Veterans Home, but you're working in a nursing home. What does HMR offer that maybe you've been in both, what do you offer that they don't?
I believe there's probably a lot of layers to answering that question. I think one of the biggest things is the environment. The folks that we care for and the opportunities that we provide for our team, I think, are different in that we're caring for veterans. Mm-hmm. Our benefits certainly are extremely competitive. Our salaries are extremely competitive because we try to keep tabs on every market that we're in. We'll make sure that we know it takes money to live.
Yeah.
We want our team to feel good about what they're doing and pay a competitive wage and benefits. But at the same time, we try to invite people in and continue to offer opportunities to grow through continued education, through offering scholarships. So if they want to come in as a certified nursing assistant in one of our programs and continue a career in nursing or try to continue their education to their LPN or RN, we offer scholarships for that. We offer a lot of certifications within our facilities that allow you to become specialized into certain areas within healthcare. So continued growth is one of the things we strive for. So you come in, we want you to provide a good service, but at the same time, we want you to benefit from being a part of our team as well. So we do concentrate a lot on leadership training, staff development, and continued education.
What I heard in that, Scott, was you'd rather have a job or you'd rather have a career.
Absolutely.
That's what I hear.
We're asking people to commit to the long term.
Yeah.
We want people who are going to join us to provide this home environment for the future.
One of the things that came to mind about the William F. Green, I was down there one time, they're doing the CNA, and Heyward alluded to that about the CNA training.
Mm-hmm.
I always talk about if you've been trained by HMR and a CNA, you're a CNA on steroids. That everybody would want to hire you. Am I close to? Because it's a little bit more than regular CNA.
I think it is. I think our education program and our training program goes certainly the extra mile to make sure that we are choosing the right candidates who are appropriate for that field and giving them the support and tools that they need to be successful at it. And I think that makes the difference.
Yeah. Well, out there in the regular healthcare in the nursing home, Heyward, you got rules and regulations, inspections and surveys and whatever. But in the homes that you've got, we're federally funded as well as state. So you got both people coming at you and inspect you. So
Correct.
Working for HMR, people need to understand that they're working for a facility that has to do it right. If one don't get you, the other will. And so to have a veteran in a HMR home is the best. You just take that breath of fresh air because y'all have to abide by federal as well as state.
That's right, and I think we live in an era where information and performance and results are readily available. So the way we perform in those inspections and our results are readily available,
Yeah.
as are any other facility that you would go into. We've been very fortunate, very blessed in the respect that the results have been good. Year after year, the Alabama facilities do very well. That goes back to the team, the training, the leadership
Yeah.
in each facility. They've been very fortunate.
Well, as the chairman of the homes, that's one of my jobs is to make sure that everybody's getting the treatment that they're required to hear. And I don't have any problem saying that I go to sleep. Y'all heard me say a bunch of times that I go to sleep at night knowing that they're getting the best care available. And Scott, I know that you've been aboard a long time and you've seen the progress as we've gone, and we've gotten better every year.
Absolutely.
Just when I think they can't get better. And to have a survey, we call them out here inspection, but to have a survey with 0 findings, it's got to make your head swell.
Well, we're very proud of the work that our organization has done and working with groups like the Department of Veterans Affairs and the board, also the federal VA and the Department of Public Health. It's a real team effort to provide excellent care to these veterans who certainly deserve it.
Yeah.
And we're really, really proud that we've been able to deliver a good quality method of care.
Well, Heyward, you're on the road a lot. You may not get to see a lot of what's going on in the nation today with the veterans deal with the shutdown in Washington and all that stuff. But it's kind of like you go out in the cow pasture and you mess with this calf and you mess with old cow. After a while, you mess with old bull, they're going to get you. And they mess with the veterans up there, and now the veterans are coming home. And you guys work with veterans, so I just got to feel, I just love to be in your shoes sometimes, because I don't get to see the veterans as much as y'all, especially Scott gets that. But let me jump to something real quick. I'm dancing around here because I'm listening to the time we got. Domiciliary. Domiciliary is something that's new to the veterans' homes in the state of Alabama. Probably not to other facilities, but to us it is. There's a big domiciliary. How many beds we got down there, Scott?
We have 80.
We got 80 domiciliary units at the Robert L. Howard home in Pell City. Now the criteria for a veteran out there watching today, to get in the domiciliary unit, they would have to be at what stage of care? How could they get in there? Heyward.
Well, it's definitely more of an independent level of functioning. The criteria for admission is the same as it is for the entire veterans home. But we've operated a domiciliary unit in another veterans home as well. It's just a more independent level of functioning. Still medical need, but the veteran in the domiciliary unit does not need as much direct care as a veteran would in the skilled nursing facility.
Could they go home on the weekends and stuff?
Oh yes, and certainly. You have the freedom to come and go. You might just need some assistance with your medications, some reminders, some limited assistance with limited assistance with what we call your activities of daily living.
What is that in relation to assisted living?
That would probably be the level of care that it's most likened to. Domiciliary certainly be a VA level, but it's just more independent. You just need a little more structure to making sure that for what the medical needs are you have, there's reminders, there's structure, there's assistance with your medications. You just need to be in a little more eyes and ears.
You got a veteran out there that maybe fallen, can't remember, but they're not ready for the nursing home, and the doctor says, and the wife says, I'm worried about him, or the daughter says, I'm worried about dad.
Yeah.
Is it that what we're talking about? Is that they're not ready for the nursing home? Say we don't like to say that, but they're not ready for the long-term care. But is that who we're talking about?
I believe it is. Of course, it is independent living.
Mm-hmm.
You do have the freedom to come and go as you please. We're just there to ensure that you're eating right, you're taking your medications right. We provide activities and assistance. And it's going to be different for every person. So you might come in and one person, what they need will be different than what the next person needs. It's just not where you need that certain level of help that is more intensive that you would receive in the nursing facility.
Yeah. That was taking on that big home down there, the $50 million project, and in Pale City has been a phenomenal thing. A lot of states are looking at that facility. Other veterans want to look at that as the model, if you will, for that. But we've run out. I got left a lot of things on here that I want to talk about. They're not all that. I want to talk about the WOW award for the way you reward your employees and things like that. But the bottom line is, you take care of your employees because you want them to take care of you.
That's right.
Heyward, I appreciate you being on the show, buddy.
Rollins, thank you, sir.
And thank you to HMR for what y'all doing for our veterans.
Thank you always.
Thank you always, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Because you're here in Alabama. We can get Heyward out of South Carolina. It's good to have you come down here to do this.
Good to be here. Invite me back. I'd love to
Appreciate
come
you.
back.
We got to go to pause, come back. I got news that you can use. Stay where you are. Get the pen. Welcome back in. Appreciate Heyward and Scott coming in doing the show today, and I hope you learned something about HMR. And we've got their website here that I'm going to put up on the screen and I'll let you see it. You see it every week, and I always do this because that's my Vanna White. Now, the guests are still here, and they can't see that, but I can. It says HMR Veterans Services. The website, HMRVeteransServices.com. I kind of cheated. I got it here, too. But anyhow, this is, if you're looking for a job, and check it out. Go to that career tab and pull it up. But I appreciate them coming and doing the show today. Now, the Veterans Court that I've talked to you about is up and running. We got it in about 16 to 18 counties throughout the state. And if you'd like to be a part of that, Judge Brenda Stedham is the one that's running that program here. And people on that program are the Sheriff Amerson, John Garlick, and others. And so it's a great program. If you want to know more about it, give me a call. You know my number. It's up here too. There it is, somewhere right along there. And give me a call. I'll tell you about the Veterans Court. We still need volunteers to drive the van to Birmingham to the VA clinic over there, VA hospital rather. And it leaves over at the VA clinic here in Oxford every morning. Give me a call if you'd like to be a driver. That's a great, noble thing to do, being a volunteer to take the veterans to their appointments. Now, something I don't normally do, I was going to kind of rant with you a little bit, but all of you have been watching the shutdown up in Washington, how it's affected the veterans. And for you veterans out there, I just got a message just before showtime. There is no, for our offices throughout the state, have not been affected by the shutdown. So don't worry about if you want to file a claim, go by there and give. Now, the federal offices in Montgomery and the other places have shut down, but we're still running wide open. All of our homes, our veterans' homes, are operating at full speed, even though they're part federal funding. But don't be concerned about that. But if they have messed up now, they've stirred up some veterans up there in Washington, D.C., and I think in the next few days they're going to find out that they shouldn't have done that. With that said, my guest last week, Sonny Miller's out there looking for your calls. If you're a veteran, you're looking for work, call him. He's with the Alabama Employment Service. He's at 256-832-0147, 832-0147, extension 244. Sonny's going to be there to January, so give him a call, and if you're looking for work as a veteran. And we still need help with the Community Foundation to build those memorials for Iraq, Afghanistan, law enforcement, and firefighters. And here's the address. That's why I wanted to get the pen. The Community Foundation, P.O. Box 1826, Anniston 36202. And put Centennial on there, memorials, and that'll help for your tax-deductible donation. And we need, if you write a check for under $1 million, we'd sure appreciate that. And by the way, thanks to Julian Jenkins for coming out and redesigning that for us up there. Parking, I told you that the VA in Birmingham has bought property to build a new parking lot for us. So don't worry about that parking spot too much. But here is the parking area now in Birmingham, and hopefully in the next 10 or 15 years we'll have the new parking lot. One other thing I need to tell you, a fella came by and he had an old unserviceable American flag. If you've got an American flag that's unserviceable, take it down to East 15th Street. That's where the old 911 building is by Rite Aid, right off of Quintard there. And there's a receptacle for that flag, and we'll dispose of it properly this year. The shout-outs this week: Marquita down at Dunkin' Donuts, Tracy Hurd at Publix, IHOP, Erica, and all the folks there, Michelle. The ambassador of Anniston is Betty Carr, and Caitlin and Bella. Hey, girls. And this salute this week goes to HMR for providing the best health care in the world for our veterans in Alabama. So I'll see you next week here on Veterans Issues. In the meantime, here comes their salute.